Thank you for staying tuned. Recall earlier we brought you news of a former presidential candidate, Peter Obi, expressing condolences to those who died or sustained injuries in the 10 days end bad governance protest, and also calling for probe of security operatives who shot at demonstrators. And to unpack this, I'm joined by Samuel Olukade, who is a legal practitioner. Good evening. Glad to have you join me on the news.
Good evening.
All right, let me kick off by asking what your impression is on the use of lethal weapons for protests.
The use of weapons under any guise does not have a place in protest, in any form of protest in the 21st century, provided the protest is said to be peaceful. I mean, weapons should not have weapons under any guise should not have a place.
So, I mean, looking forward now, in hindsight, how could such events be prevented? We had a case in Kaduna State where a 16-year-old, boy, was shot. Stray bullets hit him and then he died. Also in Katsina, we've seen, reports of someone who sustained severe injury. So, moving forward, how can these be prevented by the security operatives?
The problem, in my own opinion, is multifaceted. Multifaceted in the sense that there is the leadership problem, the leadership of the country, and then the leadership of our security forces on the one hand. Then there is also the problem within the rank and file of the security forces themselves, and there is also the problem of accountability. I will take it one after the other. There is the leadership problem. Everybody knows that the security operatives take orders from the government of the day. So in my own area, we had instances where protesters were arrested. Indiscriminate force were used on protesters, and we had reasons to engage the security operatives, and they told us that their hands were tied because the order to arrest and violate the rights of these protesters came from above. That is on the one hand. There is also the problem of the leadership of the security operatives, the rank and file of the security operatives, in the sense that first, the rank and file of the security operatives are Nigerians before they are security operatives. So one would expect that as reasonable Nigerians, they are expected to identify with the masses once these protests begin. And in the spirit of being reasonable, I would expect that even if the authorities or their bosses expect them to use unreasonable force on protesters, they are expected to restrain themselves from the use of this force. Of course, we've had good reports of security operatives like the ones in Edo State that had reasons to even distribute water to the protesters in a bid to show that they were with them. Those are good reports.
Okay,
but we know that the situation. Yes, ma'am.
You've touched on quite interesting points there. You've talked about leadership. You also highlighted accountability. I mean, you are a legal practitioner. Let me dwell a lot more on accountability. We have seen different calls for investigations being carried out as we speak regarding the death of about 17 people who died in the course of the protest. Now, there's also been calls to probe security operatives on duty while this protest held. So when it comes to accountability, how can we ensure thorough investigation and also, if found culpable, holding those guilty accountable?
First, accountability in this regard is two-pronged. Justice must be done to the victims and the families of the victim, and also to the society. Now, if you are talking of justice to the victim, we've had the instance of the man in Kaduna who was killed, and he was offered 300,000 naira as a reparation or restitution by the Nigerian army. In my own opinion, that was more of an insult to the memory of the victim than true reparation. We all know that there is no amount of money that could have been offered that would bring back the dead to life. What I expected to see was a call for a punitive, a punishment for the people, both everybody who was responsible for that shameful outing in Kaduna that led to the loss of lives, the loss of that innocent life. If that would have sent a very strong message to other security operatives to let them know that they cannot just take the lives of innocent citizens and pay them hush money in a bid to escape responsibility for their actions.
All right, thank you so much for your time on the news. Indeed, fingers crossed, we're hoping investigations are thoroughly conducted and those found culpable are brought to book. But thank you so much for your expertise on the news. Samuel Olukade, legal practitioner, many thanks indeed for your insight.